So when I was in chiropractic school, I decided I wanted to, by the time I was 40, which is this year, earn $1 million. So I just shared with you today that when I looked at QuickBooks this morning, we're at $999,000.
Hi, and welcome to the Dominate Healthcare Podcast. We are certainly in a season, as we always say, where we must dominate. We're here with a phenomenal chiropractor, Dr. Rosalind Placke. You are of course you're in the West Coast, so I'm in Florida.
Yes.
You're all the way on the other side of the world. Thank you to technology. But also, it comes with its own set of challenges being there. Florida, we got a little bit more leeway out here to just do life than you guys have had. So I'm looking forward to discussing some of what you've had to navigate to be so successful this year. But tell everybody what you just told me. You had a phenomenal year. There's a number you were really chasing down and you just achieved it. Please let everybody know.
Yeah. So I've been working on about a 10-year goal. So when I was in chiropractic school, I decided I wanted to, by the time I was 40, which is this year, earn $1 million. So I just shared with you today that when I looked at QuickBooks this morning, we're at $999,000. So super pumped. It's a big jump from last year. Last year we were at just shy of 800,000. So just super excited, beyond about making there, getting to that goal.
Once everybody knows, there's still, as we're filming, there's still another 10 days to the month. So we just need to make $1,000 to cross over $1 million. So I'm sure you'll not just hit the million, but surpass it.
Yeah, pretty pumped. It's awesome.
So that sounds great, right? You got to $1 million. What people may not realize is the journey that it took to get there. We've been working together for a couple of years. Yeah. As I mentioned, first of all, you got to deal with the Pacific Northwest and the fact that that's like its own government up there and own set of challenges. But additionally, you've got a family, so you have children. You got a husband who's also a chiropractor. Yep. He's a phenomenal chiropractor and like super personality. Like God made him to be this incredible chiropractor. But the same token, like a lot of chiropractors, you're really the administrator. That's the gift that God gave you on top of the chiropractic. So you're, in addition to running the family, you're also running both clinics. You're really kind of the lead administrator, like the CEO. Yeah. And you've been through a lot of different things. So I know you lost your mom this year. You have been through some knee surgery.
Yep.
What's that?
I said,
and then you've and then on top of that, okay, 20. Okay, and then COVID, and what they did to you out there with COVID. So, how have you navigated so many challenges and yet hit record after record and now achieved your life dream? And we have more dreams ahead, certainly, but life dream to this point. How have you navigated so many things?
Yeah, certainly tenacity. I mean, that's 100% the character quality you have to get there. But to explain a little bit about what Dr. Ben's talking about, my mom got sick with cancer before COVID started. And another little detail, my family lives in Canada, so we live in the Seattle area just for access purposes. But my mom got sick. She passed away from cancer in April of 2020. So if y'all know, that's like a month after the COVID lockdown and all the Canadian borders closed and all those kinds of things. So I took a bit of time off to go spend with her before she passed away, while my husband ran, at that time, just one clinic. And he ran that with one phenomenal office manager. And they continued that all through COVID. I do have 4 kids, and they're all school age. So we had to go through remote learning, and I'm not sure what it was like in Florida, but for us, it was a year and a half. A couple of kids did great. Some of the other kids were a little bit more challenging, but at the end of the day, we stuck with it. We kept the clinic open. Others were closing. Others were unhappy that chiropractors even stayed open, which I thought was interesting. Anyhow, so we stayed open. We continued on. Like I said, we had an awesome office manager who just, she rocked it. And so the two of them continued on. I continued to go into the office a little less often, but continued to support administratively. So we got through that challenge, got through um, all the joys and ups and downs of opinions about COVID and masking and all of that stuff. Anyhow, fast forward to this year. Actually, we'll do April of last year. Um, Fellow chiropractor also practices the same techniques that we do. She called me up and said, "Hey, I'm out of here. I'm tired of Washington, and we have family in Arizona. We'd like to go, but I know you and I have very similar practice style. So would you like to buy my clinic?" Absolutely. So thanks to Dr. Ben, we navigated through that process. Um, at the same time, unfortunately, we also were switching from one EHR system onto another EHR system. All the while, at the same time, I had a good friend dealing with fertility issues, and I was helping her as much as I was able to with those fertility issues. Anyways, so there's three things happening. April of last year, we had the EHR, purchasing a new clinic, and then these health issues that I was helping navigate through. And one other thing I forgot to mention, my father has Parkinson's disease. And so being in Canada, I'm responsible for taking care of him, sort of. Like I'm his primary care person. So all of these things are happening all at once. And it was a lot, I'm not going to lie. But at the end of the day, you just go like, what's the next step? What's the next thing that I have to do? What's the next? Got my calendar out. What's my next appointment? All while knowing like if I keep putting one foot in front of the other, the goal will come, right? Always thinking about, what's next? How can I continue on? How can I do whatever? What's the next thing that's expected of me? Anyhow, so that was stressful. I'm not gonna lie. I might have lost a little bit of hair. Got through that, and everything just slowly but surely, one step at a time. All the things work themselves out. We finally got through the EHR change. I want to say we finally really truly got through the EHR change maybe 3 months ago. All the data's moved over. And so it was a really, really long, arduous process. I hired the people I needed to hire. Dr. Ben and I talked a lot about having the right people in place to help me and us get to the place we wanted to get to. So we found all the right people, awesome people, not without challenges, don't get me wrong, but people that could do the job that needed to be done. So the EHR system finally just it finally became helpful instead of something that was holding me back. The health issues, they kind of unwound, and then everything settled out. But, in the meantime, this spring, my dad spent time in and out of hospital. So he was dealing with, and is still, end stage Parkinson's problems, which are really complicated. So, had to run up to Canada for a week or so here and there to be with him in the hospital. Help him navigate back and forth between his building and medication and all the complicated stuff that comes along with end-stage Parkinson's. But I have great staff, and everybody handled it. I got a fabulous husband who, like Dr. Ben said, he's made for chiropractic. So he continued to operate. I've got an awesome office manager that continued to do everything that she needed to do to keep the office running. And then, I had knee surgery. So in October, I had to have ACL repair. I took 10 days off, which I know is not quite enough. That's what I've continued to be told. Then slowly worked my way back into practice. And thankfully now, we're back. I'm back in the office. He's operating at his 100%. I'm still growing here, but things are going much better. And all the while, we got to $1 million. So super pumped.
Yeah, and so a couple of things I would pull from that story, and also obviously just working with you the last couple of years here. One is, you mentioned it, like you just do the next thing, which requires a lot of courage. That's one of the things I really have admired about you all the way along, is you've just got the courage to just do the next thing. And they always say courage is not necessarily being unafraid. It's being afraid, but doing it anyways. So you've jumped in, like when you jumped into the second clinic, again, all this stuff is going on, as everybody heard, so many things happening, even just normal life, regardless of the other things happening, your normal life is enough. And yet you took on another clinic. And at the time, it's like, wow, how do we do that? How do we get that managed and under control? But you had the courage to do that. You know, during I remember when you were going through all the things with your mom and you had to leave, you know, so a lot of people are afraid to go away. You know, you had to go away. You've had to go away for your dad, that, you know, to go up to Canada and leave the practice, leave everything behind, the family. There's a lot of courage to that. You know, now you had ACL surgery, I think, what was it, 1 week, and back to seeing patients. You're right back at it again. So you've always been willing to do the next thing. There's a, if you ever saw the movie, I think it's called Martian. It was the Matt Damon movie where he gets stranded on Mars. And in the movie, like everything goes nuts. He gets stranded there by himself. And he always said, I just have to solve the next thing. Yep. And that reminds me a lot of how you've gone about it. Just solve the next thing. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, to get through all of that, you guys are obviously really good at being chiropractors and building a chiropractic clinic, because you can't have all that going on, miss work like you've had to miss it, and yet still have the clinic thrive. So the other thing I really admire about you is your technique, your commitment to excellence. So tell us a bit more specifically about what you do in the clinic, because obviously that has a big impact on why, you know, you made $1 million despite all heck breaking loose here.
Right. So technique-wise, my husband and I are upper cervical chiropractors, but we do treat the whole spine, right? We do Atlas orthogonal, activator. We do some manual adjusting if, you know, we have a patient that needs it. And so having that niche has been really helpful. We've been really fortunate to have medical providers and naturopathic providers refer into us because we do have that specialty. So, and referral wise too, you know, people know that we do something different, and because we do something different, you know, people seek us out for that. So, now, you know, again, with your help, we're also adding in decompression, which is not something that everybody does. It works fabulously on disc related things. So we've got a couple different ways that a couple different niches essentially. So we got our migraine, neck pain niche, and then we've also got a disc niche that we're just opening up into right now.
And you guys really, when it comes to systems, technology, like you said, you upgraded the EMR, like you just do everything really well. And I think that's another great takeaway for people, in addition to your courage and tenacity and always moving forward to do the next thing, despite how scary or impossible it may seem. You guys do it really well. And as you mentioned, with your team, you know, you hold your team to a high standard, so you now have a great team, but great teams come along with great leadership. We can't find them anywhere in the paper necessarily. We hire them, and then we've got to make them great people. So great work. You know, I know you were kind of reluctant to get on. You know, the question was, you know, like, why don't we get some, you know, big, gigantic, famous chiropractor around here? Why you? But I think anybody watching would kind of laugh at that. Somebody who could do all the things that you do and have your kind of accomplishments as a mom and a wife and a daughter who is also responsible for her mom and dad. It's pretty special. So great work. We really appreciate you. You know, thank you for letting God use you the way you have.
Absolutely. Oh, I've been blessed.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Remember, we've got to dominate, not just participate. Bless you. And remember who you are.